Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into a topic that can be incredibly sensitive, frankly quite painful to consider. Recognizing the signs that someone might be forcing themselves to love you. It's a difficult truth to face, but understanding these dynamics can be a crucial step toward protecting your own heart and building relationships that are authentic and fulfilling. Love at its core should feel natural, reciprocal, and freely given. It's a connection that grows organically, fueled by genuine affection, respect, and a desire for mutual well-being. But sometimes for a variety of complex reasons, a person might find themselves in a relationship where they feel an obligation or a sense of pressure to maintain feelings truly there or aren't as deep as they once were. This isn't about judging anyone, but rather about empowering you to observe, reflect, and understand the emotional landscape of your own relationship. Our goal here is to provide clarity and guidance, helping you navigate these waters with self-awareness and compassion, both for yourself and for the other person involved. So let's explore some of the subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, indicators that might suggest he's forcing himself to love you. One of the first signs you might notice is A, lack of genuine enthusiasm or consistent effort. Think about how he engages with you. Does he seem genuinely excited to spend time together? Or do plans often feel like obligations? When you share good news, is his reaction truly joyful and engaged? Or does it feel a bit muted, perhaps even performative? In a relationship built on genuine love, there is an inherent drive to connect, to share, and to make an effort. If you find yourself constantly initiating planning and carrying the emotional weight of the relationship, and his participation feels more like a duty than a desire, it could be a significant indicator. He might go through the motions, showing up, saying the right words, but the underlying spark, the genuine eagerness, seems to be missing. This isn't about expecting grand gestures every day, but rather observing the consistent, everyday energy he brings to your shared life. Another key sign is inconsistent affection and attention. One day he might be incredibly warm and attentive, showering you with compliments and physical affection. The next he might be distant, withdrawn, or even irritable, without any clear explanation. This hot and cold behavior can be incredibly confusing and emotionally draining. When love is genuine, there's a certain level of emotional consistency and reliability. While everyone has their off days, a persistent pattern of unpredictable affection can suggest that his displays of love are not stemming from a deep, constant well of feeling, but rather from moments of obligation, guilt, or perhaps even a desire to avoid conflict. You might notice that his affection feels more present when others are around, or when he feels he needs to make up for something, rather than being a natural expression of his feelings for you. Next, pay attention to his avoidance of deep conversations or emotional intimacy. Genuine love thrives on vulnerability and the willingness to share one's inner world. If he consistently steers clear of talking about his feelings, your shared future, or any topic that requires emotional depth, it could be a red flag. He might change the subject, offer superficial responses, or become uncomfortable when you try to initiate these discussions. This isn't just about being a private person. It's about a consistent pattern of shutting down emotional connection. When someone is forcing themselves to love you, they might subconsciously avoid situations that require them to truly feel or articulate emotions they don't genuinely possess, as it would highlight the disconnect. This emotional distance can leave you feeling isolated, even when you're physically together. Consider also if his words don't consistently match his actions. This is a classic indicator. He might say, "I love you" frequently, or make promises about the future, But his behavior tells a different story. Perhaps he says he cares deeply but then consistently forgets important dates, fails to follow through on commitments, or doesn't show up for you when you truly need support. Words are powerful, but actions are the true measure of intent and feeling. If there's a significant and recurring discrepancy between what he says and what he does, it suggests that his verbal expressions of love might be an attempt to convince himself, or you have feelings that aren't fully present in his heart. It can feel like Hayes reading from a script rather than speaking from his soul. A more subtle but equally telling sign is if it seems uncomfortable with your happiness or success. This can be a particularly painful observation. Instead of celebrating your achievements with genuine joy, he might offer a lukewarm response, subtly shift the focus to himself, or even seem a little resentful. In a truly loving relationship, partners uplift and champion each other. If his reaction to your triumphs feels competitive, dismissive, or lacking in authentic enthusiasm, it could indicate that his emotional investment isn't as deep as it should be. When someone is forcing themselves to love you, they might struggle to genuinely connect with your positive emotions because their own emotional landscape regarding the relationship is not one of pure joy or contentment. Another sign to observe is if he consistently prioritizes his own needs and desires, often at your expense, or only addresses yours when prompted. In a loving partnership, there's a natural inclination to consider your partner's well-being and happiness alongside your own. If you find that your needs are consistently overlooked, forgotten, or only met after you explicitly ask, and sometimes even then, with reluctance, it might suggest a lack of genuine care or consideration. This isn't about keeping score, but about noticing a pattern where the balance of giving and receiving feels heavily skewed. When someone is forcing themselves to love, the intrinsic motivation to nurture and care for their partner's needs might be absent, leading to a more self-centered approach to the relationship. You might also notice that he avoids making future plans or long-term commitments. When two people are genuinely in love, there's a natural progression towards envisioning a shared future, whether it's planning a trip months in advance, discussing living situations, or talking about long-term goals. If he consistently deflects these conversations, becomes vague, or expresses discomfort when you bring him up, it could be a sign that he's not fully invested in a future with you. This isn't about rushing into marriage, but about the willingness to explore and build a life together. His hesitation might stem from an internal conflict. He knows he's not genuinely committed, and therefore cannot honestly plan for a future he doesn't truly desire. Finally, consider if you constantly feel like you're earning his love or affection. Do you feel like you have to work extra hard, be extra accommodating, or constantly prove your worth to receive his attention or approval? Genuine love is unconditional. It doesn't require constant performance or validation. If you're always striving to meet an unspoken standard, or if his affection feels like a reward for your efforts rather than a freely given expression of his feelings, it can be incredibly exhausting and damaging to your self-esteem. The dynamic often arises when one person don't naturally possess, leading them to set up unconscious tests or conditions for their partner. Recognizing these signs is not about finding fault or placing blame. It's about gaining clarity and understanding the reality of your relationship. If you identify with several of these indicators, it doesn't automatically mean the relationship is doomed, but it does mean it's time for honest self-reflection and potentially open communication. What can you do if you notice these patterns? First, trust your intuition. If something feels off, it probably is. Your gut feeling is a powerful guide. Don't dismiss your own observations. or feelings just because you want the relationship to be something it's not. Second, reflect on your own needs and boundaries. What do you truly deserve and desire in a loving relationship? Are your fundamental needs for affection, respect, and emotional connection being met? It's crucial to prioritize your own well-being and happiness. Third, and perhaps most challenging, consider having an open and honest conversation with him. If you feel safe and comfortable doing so, approach it from a place of curiosity and concern rather than accusation. Share your observations and how his behavior makes you feel using I statements. For example, I've noticed that sometimes I feel a distance between us, and I'm wondering if everything is okay. This conversation might bring clarity or might confirm your suspicions. Be prepared for either outcome. Ultimately, understanding these signs is about empowering you to make informed decisions for your own life. You deserve a love that is genuine, freely given, and deeply fulfilling. A relationship where one person is forcing themselves to love the other can be incredibly painful and unsustainable in the long run for both individuals involved. It prevents both of you from finding the authentic connection you truly deserve. Thank you for joining me today on this important and sensitive topic. I hope this discussion has provided you with valuable insights and a path forward for reflection. Remember, your emotional well-being is paramount. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like. And if you'd like more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.